The year was 1918. The earth trembled beneath 1,000 guns, and the skies over France were bruised with smoke. In the endless mud of the Western Front, men crawled, ran, and died for inches of ground. And somewhere between that thunder and chaos, a young American named Private Thomas Hale carried a weapon that would change how wars were fought, and how he would be remembered. It was called the Browning Automatic Rifle. Or simply, the B.A.R. When Thomas first laid eyes on it, he didn't see a rifle. He saw a promise of survival. The armorer handed it to him like it was a sacred object, long, heavy, and gleaming with new steel. "Meet your new best friend," the man said. "She'll sing louder than the Germans ever will." The B.A.R. was unlike anything Thomas had seen. While other soldiers struggled with bolt-action rifles that fired one bullet at a time, the B.A.R. could spit 20 rounds in seconds. It was a machine gun you could carry, or at least, try to. It weighed nearly 16 kilograms with the bipod attached. But to Thomas, it felt like power. A way to strike back. A way to live another day. At dawn on September 26, 1918, the American lines at Argonne Forest shivered under a cold mist. Orders came, the push would begin at sunrise. Thomas, sweating under his helmet, checked his weapon again and again. The B.A.R.'s magazine clicked into place. The bolt snapped forward. His hands trembled, not from fear, but anticipation. When the whistle blew, they went over the top. The first seconds were madness, artillery smoke, machine gun traces, and screaming men diving for cover. Thomas hit the ground, heart hammering. Then he saw them, German positions on a ridge, firing down with brutal precision. "Barman! Move up," someone shouted. Thomas crawled forward through the mud, set the bipod on a shattered log, and squeezed the trigger. The B.A.R. roared, a deep, growling thunder that cut through the chaos. The recoil slammed into his shoulder, but he kept firing, short bursts, measured, deadly. For the first time, the Germans hesitated. The walking fire had begun. American troops advanced behind him, step by step, as Thomas moved forward, firing from the hip, the weapon chattering like an angry beast. Every pull of the trigger meant fewer bullets in the magazine, fewer enemies on the ridge, and a few more men still breathing behind him. When the fight ended, the forest was quiet. Thomas's hands were raw. His uniform was torn. But the men around him were alive, and they looked at him differently now. From that day, they called him the man with the roar. When the armistice came, the world cheered. But Thomas couldn't. He'd seen what fire could do, to men, to souls, to dreams. He went home to Kansas, traded the B.A.R. for a plow, and tried to forget. But sometimes, when thunder rolled across the plains, he'd feel the old steel in his hands again. He'd remember the forest, the roar, the smell of oil and gunpowder. The war was over. But for Thomas Hale, it never really ended. It was 1942. The radio crackled with the words Pearl Harbor. The world was burning once more. And this time, it wasn't Thomas who went to fight, it was his son, Jack Hale. Jack was 20, tall, and stubborn. He grew up listening to his father's silent stares and the whispered legends of the rifle that saved a platoon in France. When he joined the U.S. Army, his father said only one thing: "Take care of her, she'll take care of you." And when Jack received his weapon in boot camp, he froze. There it was, the same shape, the same steel, the same soul. The Browning automatic rifle. Old, but reborn. Modernized. Ready for a new kind of war. Jack's unit was sent to the Pacific, the steaming jungles of Guadalcanal, where rain fell like knives and the enemy came out of the shadows. Here, the B.A.R. wasn't just a weapon, it was a lifeline. The jungle swallowed sound. The enemy struck fast, vanished faster. But when Jack fired the B.A.R., the entire world stopped. Its heavy rounds tore through palm trunks and wooden bunkers, the recoil biting into his shoulder like a living thing. The weapon overheated easily. The magazines emptied in seconds. But when it worked, it was unstoppable. One night, under the ghostly glow of flares, Jack's squad was ambushed. Machine gun fire shredded the camp, and chaos erupted. Jack dove behind a fallen tree, heart pounding, hearing the screams of his men. He looked down, the B.A.R. in his hands, gleaming under firelight. "Do it, like he would," he whispered to himself. He rose from cover, planted the bipod, and fired. The roar echoed through the jungle, the same sound that had shaken the Argonne Forest decades ago. Enemy soldiers fell. The attack faltered. Jack moved with purpose, firing in bursts, covering his comrades as they regrouped. By dawn, the jungle was quiet. The ground was scarred, smoking, and alive with ghosts. Jack sat there, breathing hard, hands trembling just like his father's had once done. He didn't realize that in that moment, the past and present had merged. 2 wars, 1 weapon. 2 men, 1 legacy. Weeks later, Jack wrote to his father, "Dad, now I understand what you never said. This rifle, it isn't just a gun. It's a heartbeat. Every time I fire it, I hear your voice. I see the forest you fought in. Maybe this thing doesn't just fire bullets. Maybe it fires memories too." Thomas never replied. But when he read those words, tears fell silently onto the kitchen table. He reached into the old chest under his bed, pulled out the oil-stained manual of the B.A.R, and whispered, "Take care of her, son." The war neared its end. Jack's unit landed on Luzon. The Japanese were desperate, fighting with ferocity and fear. The jungle burned again. When the order came to storm a hill fortified with machine gun nests, Jack knew what it meant: suicide. But he also knew what his father would have done. He loaded his last magazines, slung the B.A.R, and ran. Bullets whizzed past him. Explosions lifted the earth beneath his feet. He dove, rolled, aimed, and fired. The B.A.R roared once more, steady, relentless, furious. He crawled forward, firing in short bursts, cutting through the enemy fire. Every shot was a heartbeat. Every heartbeat, a memory. By the time his squad reached the hilltop, Jack was gone. The B.A.R lay beside him, smoking, scarred, but still whole. His men later said that without him, they'd never have made it. They called him the man with the roar, just like his father before him. Years later, the wars ended. The world rebuilt itself. New flags, new machines, new generations. But in a small town in Kansas, an old farmer kept a rifle wrapped in cloth, oiled, polished, and silent. It was heavy with memories, not bullets. And when the wind howled through the fields, it almost sounded like a faint echo, the deep, steady roar of a Browning automatic rifle. A weapon that wasn't just steel and wood, but a bridge between 2 generations of men, between courage and fear, between war and peace. The Browning automatic rifle was never the lightest, nor the fastest, nor the most perfect. But in the hands of soldiers like Thomas and Jack Hale, it became something greater, a symbol of endurance, of courage when hope was gone, of a roar that refused to die even when the world fell silent. Some weapons are built for war. But a few, the rare few, are built for history. The B.A.R was one of them.